famous love. Yeah, I gotta keep it trendy on my soul. I'm the most selfish person that I know. Here we go, down the rabbit hole. Got a couple carrots round my neck. Self-respect, when you out of line, you put yourself in check. They don't hear me, they don't hear me though. Cycles going round and round and round like a merry-go.
You've been lied to about cardio. The fat burning zone that you hear about online is a complete myth. If you're hopping on the treadmill hoping to stay in the fat burning zone, not only are you wasting time, but you're actually delaying your fat loss. In this video, I'm going to clear up the misconception and show you the correct way to do cardio to build an aesthetic physique.
Take it out of me, no matter where I've been, start where I'm meant to be. I be shining perfect time and check your watch, and I know who I am no longer lost.
So first things first, what is the fat burning zone? And the fat burning zone is basically the idea that low intensity cardios burn more fat than high intensity cardios. You'll see this online everywhere. People will be talking about how you need to be walking on the treadmill in an incline rather than running or jogging. And there's even posters scattered around the gym and on treadmills about the fat burning zone and what your heart rate should be at. And there's this myth that you need to be able to have a conversation basically when you're doing cardio in order to be burning the most amount of fat. The reason why everyone believes this is because it is partially true. However, it doesn't tell the whole story. In fact, it's such a misconception that while I was getting my personal trainer certificate, there was a whole chapter in the textbook dedicated to clearing out this misconception because it is very easy for people to misunderstand, so much so that personal trainers are misunderstanding it and they had to clear it up in the textbook. So I'm going to clear it up for you in a moment, but first I need to go get a workout in. The next point is why the fat burning zone is a complete myth. So in order to best understand this, I'm going to bring up a post that's been going around on my Instagram for the past few weeks. It's a post saying that incline walking burns 7% more fat than running. So if you read that, one would think that incline walking is going to be better at burning fat than running is. However, then you go down into the description and read the actual study, and it says incline walking burned 40% of calories from fat, where running burned only 33% of calories from fat. Now, this is where the misconception lies. Everyone thinks that because you burn a higher percentage of fat from low intensity cardio, that you burn more overall fat. However, this isn't the case. Although your body switches to using more carbs when doing high intensity cardio, you're still using fat as well. And in this study, for example, you're using 33% of fat still. What people fail to understand here though is that although you're burning a higher percentage of fat, you're burning less calories when doing low intensity cardio. For instance, if you were to run for an hour, you'd probably burn roughly 700 calories, if not more. And if you were to walk on an incline treadmill for an hour, you'd only burn 350 calories. If you were to go back to what the study was saying, 40% of 350 calories means that 140 of those were from fat. Where running, you burn 700 times 33%, which is still 91 higher than incline walking. So just to clarify things here, when you do low intensity cardio, you are burning a higher percentage of fat than when you do high intensity cardio. When you do high intensity cardio, your body needs a quicker fuel source, so it relies more heavily on carbs. But when you do a high intensity cardio, you're still burning fat. And in total, since you're burning more calories, you're burning more total fat in the same amount of time. Another thing to keep in mind is you're also doubling your caloric expenditure basically. And that's going to mean that you lose more weight. And your body's going to balance it out anyways and going to be burning fat to make up that energy difference. If fuel source was all that mattered and calories didn't matter at all, then sitting on the couch doing nothing burns a higher percentage of fat than both low intensity cardio and high intensity cardio. But we both know that if you sit on the couch and do nothing, you're not going to lose any weight. This is because you're not burning nearly as many calories. And that, at the end of the day, is what matters much more for fat loss than the fuel source that your body is using. Now, I'm not saying high intensity cardio is best in all situations. In fact, I'd argue that if you're weightlifting, it's definitely not the cardio that you want to do. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. But if your goal is strictly weight loss and you're not weightlifting, then high intensity cardio is going to work best for you here. So the goal with doing any cardio is to raise your caloric expenditure. As long as you don't eat more food, then this will result in weight loss. Again, how much weight you lose all depends on how big of a deficit that you're in. For instance, that 3,500 rule was 1 pound. So if you're in a 250 caloric deficit, that means that you'll lose about half a pound per week. If you're in a 500 caloric deficit, that means a pound per week. Assuming that you eat enough protein and resistance train, most of this weight that you lose is going to come from fat. Doing cardio alongside dieting is going to allow you to hit your weight loss goal faster. For instance, if with your diet, you put yourself in a 250 caloric deficit, then you do 250 calories worth of cardio. That's going to mean that you're now in a 500 caloric deficit and you'll lose about a pound per week. Or you can eat 250 calories more worth of food, which will make dieting feel less severe. To be honest, cardio isn't required to lose weight. You can lose weight strictly by dieting. However, cardio will help you and it is good for your general health as well as your cardiovascular health. So I definitely recommend doing it, but it is good to know that diet matters more than cardio in terms of weight loss. You definitely want to make sure that your diet is dialed in. Now, the next point is cardio for aesthetics. When it comes to cardio, the best type of cardio is going to be the cardio that you enjoy doing. Whether that's going for a walk with your family or your dog or playing sports, that's going to keep you consistent with it if you enjoy it, which will mean that you see greater results from it. If you're someone who just wants to lose weight with cardio, then the best type of cardio for you is going to be that high intensity cardio that I was talking about earlier. It's going to be the most efficient at getting rid of as much weight as possible as fast as possible. However, if you're someone who wants to build muscle too and is consistently weightlifting, then I definitely recommend avoiding high intensity cardio as it's going to be hard on recovery. Your best bet, I know I've been knocking it so far, but is doing low intensity cardio. Low intensity cardio won't mess with your recovery. In fact, it may even encourage recovery by increasing blood flow. That said, it does take a significant amount of time to burn a meaningful amount of calories. So if you're in a rush, I'm hesitant to say this, but you can do HIIT style cardio. I would do this for max 2 times per week as it's going to mess with your recovery again. So if you do it any more than 2 times per week alongside weight training, it's going to be too much on your central nervous system. So keep that in mind. Keep it to 1, maybe 2 times per week. And the rest of the time, do low intensity cardio. My mindset on HIIT is to do it when I'm in a rush. If I'm not in a rush, then low intensity cardio is the way to go. The next point is common mistakes killing your weight loss. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to cardio is thinking that just because they did cardio that they can eat more that day. And although this is true, what a lot of people do is eat too much. And then the caloric deficit that they had built with the cardio disappears. And sometimes they even eat so much that they go into a surplus and then they wonder why they gain weight. So this is something to watch out for. If you do cardio, make sure to track your calories and make sure to stay in a caloric deficit. Because honestly, diet is way more important than cardio. You can lose weight without doing cardio, but you can't lose weight without managing your diet to a certain extent. If you really want to be consistent at losing weight, then I definitely recommend tracking calories. As if you track calories and make sure you stay in that 250 to 500 calorie deficit every single day, then you're going to lose weight. there's no way you're not going to lose weight. Another mistake that people make is they don't do cardio in a sustainable way. So if they're weightlifting, they go too hard and do high intensity cardio and not recover properly, and this wrecks their lifts, or they just do cardio that they hate. Because honestly, cardio is not very fun to do. I don't know about you, but I can't stand running on a treadmill or walking on a treadmill for a long period of time. So I'd much rather do cardio that I enjoy, and that makes it a lot more sustainable. So I definitely recommend choosing cardio that you enjoy doing, like going for a walk with your dog or your girlfriend, or playing sports, as those are going to be ones that you can actually stay consistent with. Another thing to keep in mind when doing cardio is you don't want to do it before you weight train. The main reason being that if you do a bunch of cardio, you're going to be exhausted and then your lifts aren't going to be as good. Yeah, you can do a general warm up on the treadmill and get the heart pumping, but don't do a ton of cardio before your workout. 10 minutes tops, go lift your weights, and then you can do cardio afterwards, but make sure you're focusing on the thing you're trying to improve. So for most of you, it's going to be weightlifting. So in that case, make sure that comes first in your workout and that you're weightlifting before doing cardio. If you guys are having trouble staying committed to your goals and actually hitting them, then I definitely recommend checking out my free fitness accountability group down in the description of this video. It's completely free. It's on Discord. I would love to have you there. If you're wanting to build an aesthetic physique but don't want to put a whole lot of time into it, then I definitely recommend checking out this video right here, and don't forget to click subscribe.